Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Producer, Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our new guest, Tina Nawrocki. We're here to break down her awesome, brand new 2D animation, feminist fantasy drama short film based on the Warsaw Mermaid legend called Syrenka. Syrenka, Legend of the Warsaw Mermaid, and everything in between. I got tongue-tied. I tried to see, like I said, I played Cuphead, got stuck on it, and when you wanted to come on the show, I was like, I'm gonna do really good, take some notes here, but I might have taken a little too many.
Yeah, no worries.
So welcome to the show, though. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's a very rainy, cold day here in Canada. Spring is dragging its feet, but I'm very excited to be on the show, very excited to talk about 2D animation, about Cuphead, about all the other projects I've worked on, and of course, about my passion project, which is my short film.
Absolutely. In Ohio here, it's rainy and gloomy too. It must just be that time of day where it's just rainy and gloomy right at the start of May. I don't know. Something about April showers bring May flowers. I haven't seen any out there yet. It's just mostly
I want the flowers though. It's May now. I'm done with the showers. Where are the flowers?
So Tina, we were talking backstage. If I'm not mistaken, you've been in the 2D animation industry since 2006. How'd you end up getting involved with creating 2D animations?
So I was one of those wacky kids that knew from the get-go what they wanted to do. I was like, it's art. I'm going to be an artist. I'm super serious about it by age 8. I was like, this is it. I actually forced my mom to go to model drawing with me when I was 10 years old. And because you're drawing naked people, we're like, oh, a child can go. So my mom had to sign a thing and be in the room with me while I drew the model because I was that dedicated. But I started in realism. I loved traditional media. I loved oil painting. I loved pastels. But then I finished high school. I went and I did a 3-year program, which is not like a bachelor. It's not any kind of actual, piece of paper. They're called, tech certificates. So if you want to be a plumber, an electrician, or in this case, it was an illustrator, you can take a 3-year program. It's very affordable and it's kind of a college type program. And so I did that. And it was called Illustration and Design. So it had a lot of, this is the first time I learned digital stuff. I did Photoshop for the first time. I learned there's more than just, the traditional mediums. But they had one itsy bitsy teeny weeny little animation course in there. Mm-hmm. And another one of my passions is theater. So I love being in front of audiences. I love making people laugh. I actually wanted to be a theater actress for a long time growing up. And then animation came around and I was like, holy hell, this is drawing and acting all in one. And so I had this there was a supernova of light and I realized that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I finished that course and I started working right away. I got work in the video game industry because I grew up in Montreal, Canada, which if you don't know is Mecca for video games in Canada. There's so many video game companies. And I didn't play games a lot. I still don't. And so my first question was what's a console? I had no idea. But I loved working with my colleagues. I worked on some small, little, tiny games. But then I started getting promoted too much. And I don't know if anybody else had this experience where the promotions take you away from the art. You start going to too many meetings, you talk with clients, and you're not actually animating. So I tried to flip a table. They're kind of stuck to the ground, so that didn't work out. But I quit my job and I moved to Toronto and I went back to school as a mature student. So I had been working for 8 years at that point. Mm-hmm. I went and I studied at Sheridan for animation. It's a 4-year program. I only did 2 years, so I'm a constant school dropout. I dropped out of so many animation schools. But when I was back there, I had a very specific goal. I love 2D animation. Mm-hmm. And when I started doing it, working in the industry, there was this huge shift towards 3D. Everybody said, stop it. You have to learn 3D. 2D is dead. If you want to pay your bills, if you want to work in the industry, you have to learn 3D. And I was like, okay. So I gave it a try and I'm like, no, I can't do this. This is not me. This is just and I don't know, there's something so magical about the human hand and the drawing that's moving. And it that just makes me so excited. It's not that I don't like 3D animation, it's lovely, but I'm just a 2D animator. And so I ignored everybody. And against my better judgment, I pursued 2D animation. Even at Sheridan, I did all my work on paper. And then after 2 years, I didn't know what to do next. And Studio MDHR got in touch with me because
wow.
I had this little shitty blog that had all my 2D animations on it. And they're like, wow, you do paper animation. Do you want to do a test for this project called Cuphead? And I had already seen a trailer for Cuphead at that point before. And I was like, oh my God, yes. And so I made the flying waffle. You know the waffle in Baroness von Bonbon's level? That's my very first animation for Cuphead.
I hate that boss. That's the one we were talking backstage. That's the one that keeps choking me up. Every time it explodes, it hits me. I can't dodge fast enough.
I love that guy though. So cute. So that was my first animation. And then a whole 2D journey started. And I have to say, I've been so lucky because of my time with MDHR. And I think there's like this resurgence of love for 2D animation. And so I've managed to stick to my guns and stick to doing beautiful frame by frame hand-drawn animation for the rest of my career. And the goal is to keep doing it till I'm like 90 something and I like die with like a pencil in my hand. I was an okay animator, and that's the goal.
I love it. And, you know, I love the fact that, you know, in the beginning you were going to so many meetings. You know, that meant that you were obviously hitting where you wanted to be, but that took you away from the love of animating, so you quit. I think that is so awesome, and that's something that shows just how much love and passion you have for this. I mean, what goes into like drawing a picture and then making it animated? That just seems like such a hard thing to do.
Oh, it is. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I stuck to it, because you know, there's so much stuff you're thinking about when you're creating animation, whether it's stop motion, 3D, 2D. You have acting, you have timing, you have pacing. If you have dialogue, you have the lip sync. There's a lot of problems that you need to solve just on that level. But with 2D, you also need to draw good. Like, so there's that like extra level of skill that's needed for it. And so the reason I stuck to 2D was saying that if I'm gonna be an animator, 2D I think is the hardest because you have to also be able to draw really well. So worst case scenario, I'll just be a good animator and I'll use the skills that I use in 2D and you know, put it into another form of animation. So for me, it's a very step-by-step process, especially when I'm doing it, you know, the old school way. So I have my animation desk right here with like a bunch of Cuphead figurines.
Oh, that's so cool.
But when I do it the old school way, so on paper, you can't, you know, you don't have an undo button. You have to kind of know where you're going. So usually I try and plan out my animation way in advance. I do reference footage using myself. I draw little thumbnails, which I call shit sketches, which is like the teeny tiny sketches showing like main key poses of the animation. I then, you know, like act it out. I do more thumbnails looking at my reference footage. And then I start doing very rough key poses. And so those are the storytelling poses. The poses are going to tell the whole action. There's only a few of them. I keep it very rough, simple shapes. You scan that in and then you put it on a timeline to see, you know, when those moments are going to be hit. And if that's moving nicely, then you start with breakdowns, which is the drawing between the two keys is called a breakdown. And then after that, you start in-betweening, which is all the drawings that go between those drawings. And I go in phases. I start very rough, so simple shapes, no details, just beautiful movement. I focus on the line of action, so that's that beautiful line that's like flowing through the character, showing the energy of a pose. And then it's all like circles and squares and like little stick figure looking things. And then if that's working good, I add volume. And if that's working good, I'll add like 3D perspective rotations on the like chest and on the hips. And if that's nice, then I start hair and clothing. And then on top of all that, then you start doing all the pretty details. So it's a few passes. It takes a lot of time.
So for something such as like Cuphead, where you have so much going on, and there's, I think in the boss level you did, there was 4 different bosses that rotated.
Bosses? Oh my goodness, how many was there? So there's also the jelly beans. So you have the waffle,
with the knife. I loved it.
Yeah, the jelly beans. You have the gumball machine that goes back and forth. You have the big peppermint, so that's 5. The castle itself is an enemy, so that's 6. Yeah, and then did I say the waffle? I forget. So there's quite a few mini bosses in there. There's a lot going on, but you do them all individually. You don't try and do it all at once. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, how many pages would you say like was one boss's like rotation? And I know each one was probably a little bit different here and there, but just to kind of give us an idea of like how much work went into it.
Oh, I have no idea. I could tell you how many drawings I did in total for Cuphead. I did over 9,000 drawings.
Wow.
I didn't calculate every character individually, but I did calculate how many drawings I did in the end. So it's something like 9,500 something drawings. So
Wow, that's remarkable. And I mean, because you're detailing every part of that, right? Where they're circling the screen, when they're taking damage, when they're exploding.
oh yeah, in video games was really fun, and this is exciting if you've worked on different parts of industry. And I've kind of been roping in some animators that I met on, film projects, on TV projects, to try video games. And it's a lot of body mechanics. So you do all the really fun kind of walks, runs, jumps, but then you get like cool attacks, and then of course you get to kill your character, which is always the exciting part.
We have Dr. Hino419 joining us over on YouTube saying, afternoon, y'all. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a fantastic time. Now, video games aren't the only thing you've worked on. You've worked on Green Eggs and Ham, as well as the new Space Jam movie as well on Netflix. How is it making that transition from video games to film?
Oh, it was interesting because, so as I said, video games is a lot of body mechanics. It's a lot of action. Like you're doing, very kind of, and usually, especially in Cuphead, most of the characters that you're animating are angry all the time because we're upset at Cuphead and Mugman. And so you have one emotion that is kind of key there. So my hope to become a very good animator was to also do some more acting scenes. And the first kind of transition between video games and going into film was I did a very awesome little animated short for Brian Kessinger. And if you don't know who he is, you should definitely have him as a guest because there's no more geeky, amazing guy out there. He's a huge Star Wars fan. He's an incredible artist. He's done comic strips, Little Kylo Ren. I don't know if you know that one, where it's like little Kylo Ren as like a kind of a Calvin and Hobbes style.
Okay, I've seen that. He did that?
Yeah, Brian Kessinger, everyone, go check him out. So Brian reached out to me and he had this little passion project that he wanted to do, which was a short animated film featuring one of his characters, which is called Jasper J. Pumpkinhead. And Jasper is a scarecrow with a head as a pumpkin. And he had done all the storyboards and he had created the film, the script for the film. And so I started animating that film for him. And it's a kind of a silent film, so Jasper doesn't actually speak. So again, it's a lot of body mechanics. However, there's emotion. Jasper goes through a lot of different emotions in the film. So it's a great chance to practice that, and also just to work on storytelling and to work on an independent film. That's a passion project. It was amazing. So that actually, all the animation's done, but Brian needs to organize, the backgrounds, the cleanup, and doing my own short film now, I know how much it takes to get all of that off the ground. So I'm wishing him the best of luck, and I hope we could see Jasper sometime soon to see the whole finished film. But after I did that, I got contacted by Yowza Animation in Toronto, and they were working on Green Eggs and Ham, which is a beautiful TV show. And it's just so glorious to see a TV show want to do full-on feature style, beautiful frame-by-frame animation. I mean, It's absolutely gorgeous. It's on Netflix. You should check it out for season 1 and 2. I worked on season 2 with Yowza, and I had an amazing director, and it was just a real incredible time. I was still working actually on Cuphead DLC at the time, and I would do, a shot here and there for Yowza, and then at some point I switched to full-time doing Green Eggs and Ham. And then when that was complete, I met some people who got to know me, and I got a leg in to work on Space Jam: A New Legacy, which was super exciting. It was my first feature, so that was really great. And it's funny because we were talking about how games have all these cycles, walk cycles, run cycles. I got to animate a shot where Bugs Bunny is telling the story of how all the Toons left. And they're all in a line getting on the spaceship, and it's 27 characters. It's a 2-second shot, 27 characters walking away in perspective. I got to animate that shot.
Let's go. That's awesome
I got to animate
too.
all 27 characters walking, and that was my claim to fame. 3 weeks worth of work for 2 seconds of animation.
How'd it feel though? I mean, Space Jam is like one of those pivotal movies you see as a kid that just grows with you throughout the years, and to be working on the new one that is going to be with the new generation of children growing up, that has to be such an awesome feeling.
It's a full cycle, isn't it? Like, because, we were all such fans growing up of Space Jam. The soundtrack was so good.
Yes.
We had it on cassette tape, and we would listen to it in the car. I remember we went on a road trip as a kid with my family. And I think we listened to the Space Jam soundtrack on loop for like the entire trip.
I
It was
remember the toys. The toys were so cool looking.
all of it. It was such an iconic film, and the Looney Tunes is just something that everybody knows and loves. And so being able to say officially that I've touched with my pencil actual Looney Tunes characters was a huge highlight, and I'm super proud I was part of it. And I'm so happy that the whole franchise of Space Jam has like this new rebirth for a new generation of kids.
Absolutely. Now that you've worked with several other companies, what's it feel like to begin work on your own new 2D animated film? I mean, that has to be, and this is a personal one too, if I'm not mistaken, something that's been told within your family for years.
Yeah, so it's one of those passion projects that a lot of us have, that's on the shelf and we keep coming back to it, but we never know when to do it. And I think part of the problem is I was waiting to be a good animator. I was like, okay, I'll do this, but when I'm good enough, like, because I want to do this story justice. And I thought about it 10 years ago. And I was like, okay, when I'm good enough, when I'm good enough. And at some point I was like, you know what, I'll never be good enough for my own standard. As I said, I'll probably be good enough at 90 when I like cross my pencil across my chest. So I was like, I have to take a stand and do it now. So I've decided that this is the year I'm gonna do it. I'm still working freelance. I'm working for two awesome video game companies. One of them is called Petty Karma, which is doing an incredible game, which I can't share much about yet, but hopefully in the coming year there'll be an awesome trailer and I could scream on top of roofs about it. It's a really great project. And I'm also working for another Montreal company called Woodrunner Games. In the meantime, though, I decided that this is the year I'm going to start pre-production. I'm going to get going. And there are several reasons that I decided that this is the year. But mostly you can't keep putting it off. You have to just do it at some point, right? So yes, and it was, I think the most delightful part so far has been choosing the team that I work with. And this is something that's very important to me. The film actually has a feminist message. So the original legend of the Warsaw Mermaid, if you Google it, it's a very, very stereotypical kind of legend. Very damsel in distress gets saved by dudes story, and that's kind of it, which I always thought was like questionable because the mermaid herself is a warrior mermaid. She has a shield and a sword, and she looks so damn powerful. I'm like, why would she need help? Why wouldn't she defend herself for the hell of it? So my mom told me a slightly different version growing up than the original one. Maybe it just like through like oral retelling, it got shaped into something else. And so I was told a different version. And then when I'm telling my version, I'm even kind of building on that. So it has several key elements that the original legend has, but it's my own retelling. And through like a feminist lens, I would say, Warrior Mermaid is a lot more powerful in my story than she is in the original tale.
Absolutely.
And in order to tell this story, I decided that having worked in video games, I think this will be a shocker to everybody. Most of the teams I worked on were primarily a lot of men. It's changing now. I'm so excited. Oh my God, there's so many amazing young women who are excited about video games, who are just coming into the industry. But I've been working for 16 years now, and this is only the last few years that I'm seeing the change. So most of my experience has been male-dominated teams. And Syrenka is a story about female empowerment. So I'm like, I want, to have like a woman-centric team. So, women, but also anybody who identifies as female or gender fluid, whatever have you. But I want their voices to be the focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think, in today's society, we are making leaps and bounds to making the workforce more equal, but it seems like we're repealing a lot of rights in that same sword swift. Like it seems like while we're making leaps and bounds in one area, we're going back to the Stone Age in others.
Oh my God. And this is why I was like, this film has to be made now. So my film has a message about women's rights, about equality, about standing up for abuse and, fighting back. And in, many places in the world, as you said, it's absolutely depressing. We're going back to the Stone Age. So obviously, the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And I'm a Polish immigrant. This is why I'm telling a Polish legend. in my country, there's also a huge struggle when it comes to women fighting for bodily autonomy and kind of reverting some of the amazing progress that has been made over the years when it comes to human rights and equality in general. And so I think that as artists, obviously we love to entertain, we love to make people laugh in animation, but sometimes it's important to do something a bit more, serious, an activist kind of act of creation when it comes to this film. So it means a lot to me on many different levels. It means a lot to me because it's my own. It means a lot to me because it's about my heritage, but it also means a lot to me because it's my way of fighting for human rights.
And you never know who's going to watch and feel empowered when they see it,
And hopefully inspire young artists, as well, and young women artists to go out there and pursue their dreams of 2D animation or storytelling, whatever it is they want to do. And I think that's also extremely important to kind of be that, especially, oh my God, I'm sure you've discussed this at TDM. AI is terrifying when it comes to taking over what we're doing. And I think the difference between something that's computer generated and something touched by the human hand is the experience, the heart, the message that goes behind it. And I think now more than ever, we need to uplift each other as human artists and human creators and support each other. And that's why I'm hoping my crowdfunding campaign will reach a lot of hearts, and people will want to support not only beautiful hand-drawn traditional animation that's done the old-fashioned way on paper, but just the fact that human creators are doing something with a message, are doing something from their own experience, are doing something with emotion. And that's what art is. And that's what we need to support.
No, absolutely. I think right now would be a perfect time for us to segue over to the Indiegogo campaign and check out what all the hype is about. Give me 1 second and we're going to pull it up right here.
I'm so excited. It took a lot of work to get this off the ground.
For everyone that is watching, we're going to be dropping the link in chat as well. We would love for you to check it out with us and back. If you're unable to back it, though, simply putting this on Facebook and Twitter, anywhere you could post a link would help just as much. Word of mouth is 100% free. And telling friends and family about it is just as important. This has a really important message behind it. And you have someone in your life who would love to see this. I can guarantee that. For the woman in your life, for anybody in your life.
And if you love mermaids,
yes.
Just if you love mermaids, go for it. Share the hell out of this campaign. So, as I said, not everybody, especially young artists, don't have the means to support campaigns monetarily. As you said, sharing it is free. Telling your friends about it, and one day if you go to Starbucks and you decide to buy a coffee, maybe think, I'll buy a coffee tomorrow and give me the $5 so that I can make this film. It's important. It's so exciting to see, new people check it out and talk about it. And as I said, artists need to support artists. We need to all support each other, uplift each other, so that more beautiful, independent, films, independent comic books, independent books can be made and appreciated. We have I don't know if you have this conversation, I'm sure you do, that in the mainstream, there's so much repetition, there's so much redoing of the same thing. We're hungry for new content. We're hungry for new stories. And I think the way to get those new stories is through independent creatives. So
absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. Because that's the thing, independent creators aren't often, you're not locked into any contract. You're able to have that creative control over what you want to do. And I mean, I think, it's important to be able to do that, to be able to venture into your own ideas and not be, not have to hold back, really just go for it. We are looking at Syrenka, Legend of the Warsaw Mermaid, a hand-drawn 2D animation feminist fantasy drama short film based on the Warsaw Mermaid legend. Currently at $6,541 of a $36,704 goal with 44.
It's free! I'm so excited.
Let's go. So how are you feeling? Is this your first campaign that you ever done?
Ever. It's so exciting. And so I'm actually thrilled at 17%. I was really, really excited about that. Here's a little bit about the story. You can check that out. And if you scroll down, I'll tell you, there's a little bit of, I just introduced myself, but here's about me with Baroness von Bonbon as a little, blurb. And then I talk about traditional 2D animation, why I love doing things the old-fashioned way on paper with pencils. And then here you have my glorious team coming up. So a lot of these people are people who I've worked in the past. Some of them are family members. So Professor Eva Nawrocki, for example, my sister, who studies human rights and history, was a consultant on the script. And so was Dr. Bianca Bushman, who is a friend that I've known since I was yay high. And she studies feminism, and she also specializes in Black feminist studies, including how like activism is happening through art. So she was an instrumental person, and of course the glorious script was written by another wonderful friend of mine, Zarin Darnell Martin, who is an actress. She's in films, but she's also doing script writing, so she wrote the script. And then first up is Felicity Moreland, who is my producer. And she's a super exciting individual because she has a documentary film coming out this year called Hand Drawn Film. And it's about the state of 2D animation in the world today. So if you want to know, yeah, it's a good subject, isn't it? So you should check it out. I was actually her first interview ever. That was like my claim to fame on the film. But she interviewed the likes of James Baxter and Glenn Keane and Bill Plimpton and like amazing, amazing lights in the 2D animation world. So you should definitely check out Hand Drawn Film. And then the rest of the team is either people that I have found through social media, friends and family. Anna Podedvorna, who made that gorgeous, you could see on the Kraken, the beautiful mermaid concept piece is by Anna Podedvorna, who is known for her work on the Witcher games, and she's been, torn apart by various gaming studios as a concept artist. Yeah, so it's an amazing team. I'm super excited to work with them. But the important thing is I want them all to get paid. And artists deserve to get paid. Nobody except for myself is going to be working for free on this project. I want people to get what they are worth. They are talented, they're incredible, and their efforts need to be rewarded. And that's why I'm doing the campaign.
That's awesome. I think it is very important to make sure the entire creative team is taken care of and paid. Far too often you see people, when they go to promote their work, they forget the creative team. They forget to shout out the creative team. And I love that you are placing such a huge emphasis on doing that and making sure that not only are you letting everyone know who's involved, but they're getting paid for their work too.
Yes. And what's really fun is, as I said, I've dreamed about this for 10 years. And I think the main difference, if I had made the film 10 years ago, is I would have probably killed myself trying to do everything myself. Because that's what 20-some-year-olds do. Because they don't know better. But as you grow older, I was like, I want to rely on a team. I want to realize that I'm not the best person at everything. I feel I'm good at animation. I'm not the best background artist. I'm not amazing at layouts. I'm a terrible writer. I'm awful at writing. So, there are certain areas where you just have to ask for the help. And also just the experience of working with these powerful individuals is that they have ideas, they have their own experiences. They're adding so much to the film, and it's making it stronger and better and even more exciting just to have their input. So yes, to shouting out your team members were incredible.
Absolutely. We have our good friends Nerds and Mr. Moonrock over on Twitch jumping in to hype up the chat. Thank you two for joining us. Now, the art in this is just so visually striking. Can you give us a little bit of some of the inspiration that went into it?
Sure. So as I said, I'm a Polish immigrant. I know everybody or most people are aware of the Art Nouveau movement. It was, the inspiration for the elves of Lord of the Rings. Gustav Klimt from The Kiss is part of Art Nouveau, and so is Alfons Mucha with his beautiful Art Nouveau posters. But my country, Poland, had its own Art Nouveau, and it was called Młoda Polska, or Young Poland. And not a lot of people know about it. It's a very famous movement in Poland itself, but it never got that kind of global international clout like some of the other artists did from that era. So these images are kind of a mood board from that movement for some beautiful artists there. Wyspiański, Wyczółkowski, Mechofer. Nobody can pronounce their name. That's fine. You don't need to.
Yeah, you're saying it, and I'm like, thank God you are, because I would not even get close. This one right here just is so gorgeous of the man standing in what looks like
everything.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm just having such a hard time not getting like sucked into all of this art right now.
Isn't it beautiful? And so the pastel drawings at the bottom, so the mother with the child, the girl with a bow in her hair, this is done by Wyspiański. And what I love about it is it's very graphic, it's very modern. So this is for early 1900s. And I feel like his work especially is kind of inspiring the look of Syrenka, because I want it to almost look like a pastel drawing. But I love the pattern, the pattern on her sleeves, on the dress is very, very kind of graphic designy. And so if you watch the clip of Syrenka that we did in color, on her tail there's a beautiful watercolor texture, but
Hmm.
it's an overlay and it's staying still in the background while she kind of swims over it. So that's going to be another like fun little visual quirk of my film, that all the characters are going to have this beautiful pattern on their clothing or the mermaid on her tail, but it's gonna like stay still. There's one Japanese film that did it before. I
Hmm.
keep forgetting the title of the film, but it's really cool. So the characters move, but the pattern stays in the same spot.
You know, I'm trying to think. What was it? Chowder on Cartoon Network does something like that too. I think where they have like it's drawn, but every time they move, like that pattern stays still. It's such a cool texture.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
that's right. You're right. Yeah, so that's what I'm going for. But the patterns are going to be hand painted in watercolor. So it's
Wow.
going to be, yeah. Susanna Komza, my friend, she's an amazing watercolor artist. She's also going to be, she is painting the poster for the campaign. So a few of her rewards are like either a beautiful physical print of her poster or a digital download, and it's going to be gorgeous, all hand painted in watercolor. And she's also hired to do all the patterns for all the characters. So each character will have her own distinctive, beautiful watercolor pattern.
You mentioned a video. Was that the trailer at the top?
So if you go into the trailer at the top, there's like a little video interview with me. But at some point, I don't know, you can keep the volume off of it, but at some point I do show the mermaid
Oh, right there.
swimming. It should be, yeah, there she is. You got it right away.
Oh, and here, yeah, here's some of the previous animation works
and so
too.
that's Jasper. Everybody can get to know Jasper from Brian Kessinger. And here's the beautiful mermaid swimming.
Oh, that is gorgeous too.
Isn't it nice? So yeah, so that's the test shot we did. And as you can see on my animation table behind me, there's original drawings from the film. And one of the rewards is that you can buy an original drawing. I'm a huge nerd and I collect original animation drawings. I'm going to show you guys my office for a second. Like
Hold on one second. We'll go ahead and zoom you in too.
Yeah, there we go. There's some original drawings, including a Robin
Oh, the Wall-E!
by John Lonsberry. And then there's some actual original 1930s drawings. There's one from The Flame and the Fly, which is a 1938, I think, short. And I have a beautiful drawing from Fantasia 2000, Rhapsody in Blue. And at the very end there is the only drawing I own from Cuphead, because all the drawings are the property of Studio MDHR. That drawing was actually a throwaway. So I fucked up the key because it was in the wrong place. So it was like a drawing you throw away. But I kept it in a drawer somewhere. And that is my only Cuphead drawing that I actually own. So there you go. And so here we have, photos of the various movements around the world fighting for women's rights and equality. And so I want Syrenka to be a kind of symbol of that fight, because she is a warrior mermaid. She's a warrior woman. And, I think we all need to stand up and help each other to not go back to the Stone Ages and not take so many steps backwards and go out and vote. My God.
Yes.
That's also so important.
So we actually have some closer looks at the character model right here from them. Yeah, right here. Such a powerful look.
So this is a beautiful concept piece by Yasmin Kirouche. And Yasmin is in Morocco. I met her through a friend of a friend. She's a very young concept artist, just starting out in the industry. And her work is glorious. By the way, if you go to syrenkafilm.com, I can put it in the chat, actually. Film.com. There's a whole tab with the entire team, and if you click on their names, you can see their portfolios. So you can see Anna Podedvorna's work, you can see Yasmin's work, and her work is glorious. So I reached out, and she was super excited, and she's doing all the character designs for the film. So I used her designs as a kind of jumping off point. Obviously, my style is slightly different than hers, so the character evolves. But she is the one creating the beautiful design. So this is the model sheet for Syrenka, the mermaid. And then if you go down a little bit, there's another main character right here. So there we go. The other main character is called Kinga, and she is a bar matron. So this is really interesting. In the past, in Poland, women could own property, which is not the same in a lot of medieval places in Europe. So Kinga is a bar owner, and she's, maybe in her mid-40s. She's very powerful, very stoic, but also kind of has accepted through, years and years and years, the kind of surrounding sexism that like is being upheld by the patriarchy of her world. And she's kind of gotten used to it, and she no longer feels like she needs to fight it because she's just accepted it. And so the mermaid is kind of a symbol of, the call to action, that we can't just sit back and let things happen. We can't just, turn a blind eye when there's abuse, when, women's rights are being taken away. We need to stand up and fight. So you have that contrast between the two characters.
I love that. For everyone that is watching and listening, I just dropped the link to syrenkafil.com for you to check out and look at all that art in its glory. Now, let's go ahead and check out some of these reward tiers. I mean, right off the rip, we have the Water Baby, your name on the website with with 2 HD desktop wallpapers at $10.
Yes.
And then we have the Mermary, your name on the website, the wallpaper, and then this is where you get the digital download of the film.
Yeah,
just
$20.
For $20.
And you get the film. So obviously, you're going to have to wait a little bit to get that reward because, as I said, I still work full time in the industry. I'm hoping to get enough funds to pay all my team members, but I might have to be doing all the animation on my free time. So we're hoping for 2025 to have the film completely finished. And in 2025, if you give $20 or more, you will get the film as a download. After it's completed its festival run, but before anybody else sees it online. So it's going to go to festivals. Hopefully you'll have a lot of screenings live, and maybe if it's in your country, you can go see it there. But then you will get the download right away before it's actually available to the wider public.
Absolutely. And then we have the Siren at $20 more, and this will get you all the previous digital rewards and then 2 original versions of I'm not going to be able to pronounce that.
Or OE River. So this is really exciting to me. So most mermaids and legends sing. They're very vocal. They're called sirens for a reason. And in the original version, the mermaid does sing. And so I wanted my mermaid to sing as well. And I found an ancient Polish ballad that's copyright free because it's
that's
old.
Awesome.
And I have an amazing singer called Sylwia Zelek, who is a soloist in Poland. And the songs are going to be in Polish, but the dialogue is going to be in English because I want it to be understood by a very wide audience. But the song is going to be in Polish. So she's singing 2 original versions of it. We're actually going to record with her on May 10th. So coming up, I'm flying to Poland next Monday, and I'm actually going to do a live video. I'm going to record her. I'm going to share it all with you guys as we go to a studio and record her singing the Mermaid's Siren song. And so $40 will get you that. And of course, I have amazing composer, Mariana Caligari, who is Italian Brazilian, but she's currently living in LA, and she's going to compose the beautiful music for the entire film. So that's going to be included as well.
And there's something about, hearing a song in its native language that it's really rare that you can replicate that in another one, It
has so Polish, Slavic languages in general have a very specific twang, and their folk songs are very specific as well. I find them really haunting and really, really beautiful. So I do want to share, the art style from my country. I want to share the music, the language. So, aside from the feminist message, this is kind of my love song to my culture. And so I do want to share that with everybody out there.
That's awesome. Then we have the next tier up, the Selkie. For $10 more at $50 is going to get you all the previous digital rewards and then a signed physical copy of the script. So you get a chance to kind of see what went into writing this 2D animation film. I think that's awesome as well. Also, a big thing if you're trying to get into creating 2D animation films, seeing how it was created from the script is like a huge learning tool.
Absolutely. And so Zarin Darnell Martin, who is an amazing actress and also my scriptwriter, is going to be signing the copies as well. And she writes so beautifully. And as I said, I am not a writer. And, one of the things that I encourage everybody who's doing their own personal project, if you're an animator, if you're creative, but you're not a writer, reach out to a writer to help you write the script. It's worth it. It really is. So it's a beautiful reward. I hope people get it.
And then at $75, we have the Kelpie, which is going to get you all the previous rewards, a digital download of the official poster, and then a digital download of the art book as well.
Yes, so I'm so excited to make my own art book. I have, so many art books all over my office. I'm so thrilled and inspired when I look through them. And so we're definitely going to make a glorious art book showing all that work in progress, all the development sketches, all my shit sketches that I do before animation. We're also hoping, I have my first casting. I'm going to hopefully make an announcement soon, my first voice casting for the voice actors.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, I know. And what's really lovely is this is something I've never experienced in my professional career. And I hope you guys know this. Back in the day, in like the glorious Disney days, they would actually hire live action animators to act out certain key scenes for the animators. So they can see how the characters interact, how the actors, what kind of acting choices they're making. And the animators would use that as inspiration to do their animations, which made them so much stronger. As kind of like time went on, we're always using ourselves as, references because we're free. We can use our phones now. We can record reference. However, I have several male characters in my film, one of which is an old man. I am not an old man. And, sometimes like you can try and move like that character and you can do your best, but you're not going to quite get that flavor. So my hope and goal is to record my voice actors as well for reference for the actual animation.
That is so cool though, because it adds like that another human element to it too, right?
Precisely.
Yes,
and so I'll be
that's so
sharing
cool.
all that. I'm super, super thrilled. And I hopefully wait for the announcement for my first casting for one of my actors. They said yes. So once the contract is signed and I know for sure, I'll be making an announcement and sharing my first casting for the voices.
Let's go. Congratulations on that. Where's the best place for anyone listening to find that announcement at?
Ooh, okay, so we have all the socials. If you look at syrenkafilm.com, the website, there's a little bar and it has every single social you can ever want. So there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's Twitter. I'm updating every single one of them daily. And so if you follow any one of those, you will get all the news.
Awesome. So the next one up, we have the Ruskolka. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. That'll get you all the digital rewards. The poster print 18 by 20, and then a series of 6 prints, sizes 4 by 5, and then 4 by 6 as well.
Yes. So it's a lovely series of prints. It's some concept pieces by my concept artist Yasmin. You have that beautiful watercolor texture painted by Susanna Komza, and then a series of sketches of like development sketches I did of Syrenka. And so those prints are nice and cute, they're nice and small, and you can put them wherever. But you also have the beautiful, full size. It's going to be on matte paper because it's a watercolor painting, the actual poster. So it's going to be like all juicy and matte and beautiful. So if you want the poster, please choose that one.
And then the next one's awesome. At $250, you get a 1 hour long one-on-one online mentorship with Tina. And this is something big if you're trying to get into 2D animation, right? What's all involved with this one-on-one talk?
Ooh, this is great. So I try my best to take some time every year and do some online workshops. I usually accept 25 people into those. And, it's a lot of people. So I try and give everybody one-on-one feedback, but you have to kind of rush through it, right? Because you're constrained on time and they're so awesome. And usually we have so many questions. So I'm offering this one, for like the young artist who's just trying to get into the industry, or even an artist that wants to pivot. Let's say you're a 3D animator, you want to go back into 2D, you want me to look at your portfolio, I want me to give you tips and tricks on how I approach animation. I do drawovers, so if you bring me your work, I can like draw over them, we can discuss. And some people, have reached out to me for mentorships in the past just to talk about the industry, to talk about what they're going through, to kind of compare notes, to know what to expect, to ask for advice. And as I said, I am a witch. I look younger than I am. I have 16 years of like labor and toil in this industry. So please, if you're excited about that, if you want a portfolio review, if you want to chat with me, if you want to establish that rapport, the Circe is the way to go.
And you could YouTube stuff all you want, but 16 years of just experience of just working, yeah, you can't YouTube that, right? I mean, there's some tips and tricks you're going to know that people who are on YouTube probably haven't even heard of.
We're all different too. And I keep telling that to a bunch of young people, that try and get as many mentors as you possibly can. I actually got the most out of taking online courses with different animators that I admire. So my favorite mentor is an animator called Samantha Youssef, and she published a book called Movement and Form, which is about drawing from life and how to help that that analyzing go into your animation. And I took mentorships with her. I took all her classes, and I've learned so much just by kind of like lashing on to, because her system worked for me. And so my system might work for you and you might get a lot out of it, but Again, it might not. You might have to go and, find other people and see if their approach is better for you. Because there's no one way to art. There's no one way to animate. There's many ways. And obviously my system works for me, and it might also work for you.
And then we have another interesting one right here, the Cup Connoisseur. So you get 1930s character animation drawing signed by Tina, 1 pencil used in animating Cuphead, 5 1930 style character color prints, and then a 4 sticker pack featuring 1930 style characters. So that is so awesome as well. And then how many pencils did you think you went through when working on Cuphead?
This is it. This is all of them. I've never counted. We could have one of those jelly bean jar contests to see how many pencils there are. But so this layer is from Cuphead, and this layer is from Cuphead DLC. So if you get the Cup Connoisseur, I'm going to go down to the bottom layer to make sure you get one on the original game.
That is so awesome, though. And that looks like a lot of pencils. You said over 9,000 pages you drew?
Yeah, that's for the first game.
Wow.
So, and then I worked 2 years on DLC, so that's a lot of pencils. There's also this teeny tiny nub of an eraser in there, which is I used up a whole eraser at some point. So yeah. And then, so the drawing is one of my original 1930s drawings. You get to put it up on your wall, and then you get a series of awesome color 1930s character prints. And I also started making stickers, so you'll also get stickers on that one.
And then we have 3 heavy hitting tiers left. The Water Witch, so you get all the previous digital rewards. The poster print, 18 by 20, the 6 prints, 2 concept art prints, a poster print, and then original animation drawing of Swimming Mermaid, signed by Tina. So what's that original animation drawing looking like? Is that just a sketch from it? Or?
So it's from, I can actually bring them out. Give me 1 second.
Yep.
So you can see the original, what it looks like. I'm going to bring out a few of them. So when I animate on my animation table, I animate on these large drawings. Here we go. And so these are, they were flipped. This is the kind of at one shot that you just saw go by. And so every single drawing in here is available for sale. And if you buy that tier, I will sign it for you, and you can put it up on your wall, and you can have a little piece of history in the first test shot of my short film.
That is so awesome. So I got to ask though, what goes into creating all the underwater air bubbles? That just seems like there'd be so many you would have to draw in.
Yes. So again, this is one of those things that I can do it myself, but it's not my specialty. So 2D VFX is a thing. A lot of people are amazing at it, and it's actually kind of had a huge resurgence. I don't know if you know League of Legends, but all the VFX in League of Legends are hand-drawn. They're not 3D particle systems.
I never knew that. That's impressive.
Yeah. And so there are many amazing artists out there who specialize in 2D VFX. I am collaborating with Sonia Fursova, who is a Ukrainian, who is currently still in Ukraine, and she's working online. And she does beautiful, glorious 2D VFX. And she did the bubbles for my test shot. There's going to be a few very epic shots in the film with a lot of water, a lot of stuff going on. And so she's going to be animating all that for me. And I'm super excited to see what she does.
Because I tried to study a little bit about previous stuff. I think The Little Mermaid, when they did the cell animation, it was 1 million air bubbles they had to draw throughout the course of the film. So I was wondering, I'm like, man, this seems like it would take years just to nail that out.
It is, but there's something about 2D VFX. If you go back to Fantasia 2000, the Firebird sequence, oh my God, it's so gorgeous. And it's all hand drawn, every single frame of those gorgeous lava and fire and everything. It's all beautiful hand-drawn animation. So I have a special love for 2D VFX, and I'm so honored that Sonia has found the time to say that she'll work on my film. And I'm especially excited for that, that end money shot where the climax of the film, and it's going to have all the VFX everywhere, and it's going to be amazing. There's going to be water and clouds and smoke and electricity, and it's going to be great.
At 500, we have the Rubber Hose Radical, so a custom commission drawing of a 1930 style character of your choice. 1 pencil used in animating Cuphead, 5 small 1930 style character prints, and then the 4 sticker pack as well. So what type of character? Is it anything that they want from the 1930s or?
Anything. So you can ask for a classic character. I can draw Popeye or whatever you want. It could be you as a cup Sona, people call it. You know,
Oh, that
like
would be awesome.
yeah, it could be you as a 1930s characters if you don't want to be a cop, if you just want to be a random character, we can definitely work on that. It could be one of the characters that I've animated in the past. I can draw you that one if you're a huge fan of the Cuphead games. Whatever you want, I will do it. I will draw it for you. And the thing is, like, we'll work together. So I'll draw a few rough sketches, and once you decide, I'll make you a beautiful, finished on animation, personal drawing, and of course, you will get all the other fun little things. And Rubber Hose Radical, you'll get all the Syrenka digital downloads as well. So you'll get all the film perks. It's all included, but you'll get that kind of fun 1930s character as well.
That's awesome. And then we have the heavy hitter, the Kraken. So all digital rewards, a physical signed copy of the script, series of 6 small Syrenka prints, 2 concept art prints, 11 by 17, the poster print at 18 by 20, and then film credit as executive producer.
Yes, and I actually didn't think anybody would go for the Kraken, which is my producer Felicity Moreland. I was like, we should have this. There are people who love art, who want to support art, and you know they want to back this as an executive producer. And I'm like, nobody's gonna do that, and we already have one.
Yep.
So one Kraken has been sold. I'm super thrilled and honored to have them be such a huge support to the film, and they absolutely deserve the executive producer credit. There are 2 more of those up for grabs, and so I will have 3 executive producers who, with their amazing donation, will support the creation of a film. And they will have her name up on screen, and I will be forever grateful, and it's going to be awesome.
And to have your name on screen, I mean, that is an experience within itself, right?
Yes, and you know, you're a supporter of the arts. There are people out there who love independent creatives and want to support them. And if you have that kind of monetary freedom, that you have that kind of money lying around, and you want to, you know, make this film a reality, then this is it. You know, you can have your name up there, and I will be so happy.
Absolutely. So after going through all of these tiers, everyone, right here is the link to check this out and back. And like I said, if you can't back, put this wherever you can. Word of mouth is 100% free.
Share everywhere.
I got to ask you, after going through that, for anyone who might be on the fence about backing, what would you like to say to them to kind of help push them over that fence?
So we all buy cups of coffee for $5 almost every day. Please just, like, you know, skip that 1 cup and support mermaids, support feminism, support 2D animation. And I think, to me, and I keep kind of yelling about this, is that in this world today, with a writer's strike, with AI, which I think is extremely unethical, the way it's stolen art and is trained on stolen art, we need to support each other. Like, actual physical human artists need to support and uphold. Every time in the past that I've seen a 2D or just an independent film on Indiegogo, on Kickstarter, or on any crowdfunding platform, I always donated. Even if I was broke at the time, I would donate a little bit, because I was like, yes to passion projects, yes to upholding other artists. So please find it in your heart to support my film. I will be posting so many updates, so you can be a part of the process. You can see how it's moving forward. And then, of course, one day it will be at festivals, maybe in your city, in which case you could go sit in a cinema and watch it. Or if not, it's going to be living happily forevermore on the internet. Also note that this is a 2D animated short, which means I will get 0 profit. Like, there's no way I can make money off of this. It's art for art's sake, and I'm making it because I love this, and I believe in it, and I believe in the message.
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit kind of how you're going to be working. I think 2025 is the expected release. I mean, what other projects do you think you're going to be working on in the meantime?
So as I said, I'm working for 2 awesome video game studios. I can't tell you much more about those games yet. They're both 2D animated, which is thrilling to me, and they're very different themes, and they're both delicious and delightful and exciting, and I can't wait to tell you about those. I'm also sometimes working on small, tiny independent projects. I helped out on an independent short. Once that's coming out, I'll also be yelling about that, because I'm super excited about it. It's another passion project from another creative that I had the honor of supporting. I also recently, Little Yachty had a concert. And, and, and Little Yachty reached out to me and another Cuphead animator, Joseph Coleman, and we animated a 1930s owl with Drake's voice, because Drake left him like a voicemail, and so we animated this owl talking like Drake.
That's so cool.
You can see it on YouTube. It's there, like Little Yachty Owl, and you'll find it. So we did that. So I do a lot of random stuff. As long as it's 2D animation, I'm down. I'm super excited about it.
That is so cool. So before we wrap up the show, I always love ending on 2 strong notes, and that's asking, we start with a little bit of advice and then what you're consuming. So with that being said, for anyone looking to get started with just entering the field of 2D animation, what would be your biggest piece of advice to them to kind of help them along that journey?
Ooh, so one thing, definitely don't only draw cartoons, always go back to realism. So go out, do some model drawing, do cafe sketching, watch people, be super fucking creepy. Just like watch people, because the way we move is so different. And so like being one of those creepy people and like watching how people move. I do this really weird thing that if somebody has a cool walk, I'll like turn around and start following them at a safe distance.
Like a newspaper, Tina's behind like a newspaper with a hat, just like.
Yeah, like just to see how they walk, and then I write notes. So yeah, be creepy, watch people, go to model drawing, do realism. But then for your reel, I love seeing animated walks. If you can animate walks, that's really cool. That's really exciting. It shows a lot about your strengths. So do a lot of cycles, do some runs, do some walks for not very long animations, but they're great things to add to an animation reel.
Some awesome advice. So like I said, we always like talking about what you're consuming outside of creating. So video games, TV shows, movies, comics, what are you reading? What are you watching?
Oh, I'm so weird. So I do love watching, animation on my free time. Definitely. I love the animations from Cartoon Saloon. So I watched all of those. I do love some of the Pixar movies. So I watch those as well. When it comes to reading, I'm reading really odd things. So I like reading documentary type books. And right now I'm reading one about Egypt's golden couple, Akhenaten and Nefertiti, when they were gods on Earth. It's about ancient Egypt. So I'm reading that one, which is lots of fun. And when it comes to TV shows, my dog, Appa, who's right there, everybody, he's like chilling in the window.
I love how lax he is too, just chilling.
So my dog Appa, he's named after Appa from Avatar: The Last Airbender, if anybody knows that show. So he loves murder mysteries for some godforsaken reason. So we watch a lot of murder mysteries. We watch Agatha Christie's Poirot. We watch Midsummer Murders. We watch Death in Paradise. We watch any kind of like stereotypical, murder mystery type show. So a lot of those.
He has to study up in case anyone tries breaking in. He has to know how to clean up afterwards. So,
yeah, 100%.
With that being said, it is time for us to wrap up, everyone. Right there is the link to check it out. I hope you all have a lovely Wednesday. Most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.